I know in 2004, I think it was, you said global warming was a total crock of shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Listen, abnormal weather patterns around the world have been a fact of life. If you look at the history of hurricanes when I was a kid growing up, we had hurricanes in Scarsdale, New York. That was in 1941.
But what about the fact that is the overwhelming consensus of all the climate scientists?
That's not true.
It is true.
No.
Yes, it is.
There is no overwhelming.
You're in the bubble, Bob. You're in the bubble. Now here we have a scientist right here.
I was trying to stay out of that
one. No, wait a second. There's a scientist right here.
historically, there's a saying in the scientific community that every great scientific truth goes through three phases. First, people deny it.
Right.
Second, they say it conflicts with the Bible. Third, they say they've known it all along. And so we just have to ask, where are we in this scale of this? So if you don't want to believe all the scientists, I have another way for you to approach the problem, and that is you can take your cue from the rest of the animal and plant kingdom. Animals are migrating in different rates. Plants are migrating north that never made it north before because they can now sustain the warmth that is there. They're plants that are getting fertilized earlier than before. The migration patterns have shifted. And so nature is telling us nature already knows the answer to what it is everyone here is arguing about.
You don't seem to understand the opposition's argument, which is not that the scientists are wrong about where we are today, but there's hubris in predicting 100 years of temperatures with millions of variables.
But it's not 100 years, it's happening now.
It
is happening now.
Global warming is designed to prevent something that has not yet happened. The global warming policy.
That is not true.
We're taking like 2-minute showers in Los Angeles. Not you and me, but everyone.
Is that because of climate change?
Here's the thing. You cannot say any specific event is directly attributable to climate change. We don't know because there are absolutely, of course, have always been hurricanes and bad storms and all this shit. But that's like saying, you know what? I don't know which bag of Cheetos gave me cancer.
Right.
But I ate shit forever and I smoked and I don't know which cigarette did it, but I do know that putting toxins in my body is going to make me sick. And putting toxins in the atmosphere is going to make us all sick.
The temperature around the globe is increasing faster than was predicted even 10 years ago. Yet, an article in The Economist in March 2013, and I quote, said temperatures have not really risen over the last 10 years. A month earlier, the BBC News reported that since 1998, there has been an unexplained standstill in the heating of the Earth's atmosphere. This is largely correct, right? That temperatures have remained flat over the last 10, 15 years.
No, the rate of increase has been lower, and it's not unexplained. There's a natural Pacific decadal oscillation, and the Pacific tropical temperature has not warmed during that period, and that's affected the global temperature.
You can find a scientific paper that says practically anything. And the press, which I count you as part of, the press will sometimes find a single paper and say, oh, here's a new truth. Mm-hmm. If this study holds it, but an emergent scientific truth, for it to become an objective truth, a truth that is true whether or not you believe in it, it requires more than one scientific paper. It requires a whole system of people's research, all leaning in the same direction, all pointing to the same consequences. That's what we have with climate change.
How do you explain climate change before man ever had a carbon footprint? How do you explain that? The
statement that you just made is blatantly false.
How do you explain climate change that occurred 10,000 years ago before man had a carbon footprint? How do you explain that?
Climate, there are variations in the Earth's orbital elements. The eccentricity of the Earth's orbit, the time in the season at which it's closest to the sun.
So those variations just end right now, so now it's all man-made?
No one has said it is all man-made.
Well,
there are natural...
kind of the tack that most environmentalists take.
The man-made effect is now dominant, and we can measure that because we can measure the energy balance of the planet, and we see that there's more energy coming in and it is going out. So therefore, the planet is going to continue to get warmer. It doesn't mean each year is going to get warmer, because there are natural fluctuations. But this decade is going to be warmer than the last one, and the following one will be still warmer.
I agree with Ms. Harbert. I think the science is far from settled. Thank you.
Well, so you know what is settled? You know what is settled? Settled science is the science that has come out of large bodies of research that all agree. Right. When you see scientists arguing, and I tweeted, I said, if you think scientists want to always agree with one another, you've never been to a scientific conference, because people are duking it out. But what are they fighting over? Not the settled science that's been in the books. We're fighting over the bleeding edge of what is not yet known. Now, if you, as a journalist, want to eavesdrop on that meeting, you'll think scientists don't know anything about anything. But it's the body of knowledge that is accumulated over the decades that precedes this that becomes the